take a slow breath and notice how your body begins to soften, the weight of the day gradually setting aside as your shoulders ease down and your thoughts drift to quieter places, where there is no demand to be met and no task waiting, only the simple rhythm of comfort and calm, where the steady beat of your heart keeps time with your breathing, slow and gentle, guiding you toward rest. And as you listen, you may imagine yourself in a room where the air is cool but kind, where lamplight glows on wood and the space feels safe, soft and steady, a place without noise, where every detail is shaped to bring you comfort, and where even the night outside does not press or stir, but simply holds steady, waiting with patience. The world unhurried, the edges softened, the hours stretching kindly, offering space for sleep to arrive. And soon we will drift to a frontier cabin that stood against the night, where timbers held warmth and the silence of the woods pressed gently against its walls, not with weight, but with stillness. A place that seems far, but is close when you picture it, steady and enduring, carrying stories, not in loud voices, but in the creak of wood and the faint flicker of flame. And as we begin to explore that quiet cabin, its presence can help you imagine your own resting place, safe and sheltered, where you may simply breathe, listen, and settle, knowing that everything is steady tonight. The cabin rests in memory as a shape of wood and lamplight, its frame built with timbers that have weathered sun and rain. Yet in this gentle telling, there is no storm or hardship, only the softened outlines of a home standing quiet against the slow passage of time. And when you picture its roof, you might see shingles darkened with age, yet warmed by the golden light within. A glow that makes even the darkest evening seem welcoming, a glow that falls softly on the floorboards, catching the dust in tiny, floating motes that rise and settle, reminding you of how light moves with patience and without hurry, just as your thoughts may move now, unhurried and slow, drifting like those quiet flecks in a calm beam. Around the cabin, the night settles too, with stars above spread wide in the sky, their shimmer faint but steady, and the air outside carrying scents of pine, of cool earth, of smoke that drifts in a thin line from the chimney, not rushing but wandering upward as if it has nowhere to be and nowhere else is needed, because here at this cabin, time itself feels slower, softer, and more forgiving. Inside, a chair rests near the fire, its surface smooth from years of touch, the seat wide and solid, and the simple sight of it brings a sense of welcome, as though anyone could sit, lean back, and let their eyes close while the fire keeps its low rhythm, a rhythm steady enough to match the beating of a calm heart. The cabin walls carry the scent of cedar and oak, a mixture of wood and warmth, and each beam seems to hum with quiet endurance, not loud, not demanding, only present, like the steady silence you may now notice in your own space as you listen. In this overview, the cabin is less a place of detail than a feeling, a presence of safety, a reminder that in the dark of the woods, there can still be comfort, there can still be light, and there can still be a roof to rest beneath, a floor to steady your step, and a bed to hold your body as you sleep. The sense of being held within something enduring helps you relax further, because while the cabin may be old, it is never fragile in this telling, always strong, always patient, always ready to hold against the night without strain, just as your own resting place is holding you now, steady and quiet, shaped by care and by time. Everything is steady tonight, and as this refrain lingers, it helps the mind release its grip on scattered thoughts, letting them soften like the dim edges of lantern light on wood, letting them spread like warmth into cool air until what remains is only calm. You might picture the doorway of the cabin, simple in its frame, leading inward to warmth and outward to stars, a threshold that belongs to both night and day, yet always welcoming. And this doorway, though small, carries a sense of invitation, as if the cabin itself is glad to offer its quiet, glad to let you linger in the safety it provides. As you rest in this vision, the cabin stands unchanged. Its timbers steady, its light unwavering, the night around it calm and accepting, and your own breathing continues in rhythm with these images, slow and even, steady and soft, guiding you deeper into rest with the gentle reminder that everything is steady tonight. The cabin that stood against the night can be understood not as a place of hardship or struggle, but as a steady rhythm of shelter, a shape that remained when days passed and nights returned. And the more we look at it, the more we notice its gentle qualities, each one unfolding slowly like ripples on still water, never urgent, always calm, always repeating, each detail echoing the same idea that a space built with care can hold its quiet through the long hours of evening. When we picture its walls, we can see the way wood grain curves, soft swirls and knots that seem like patterns of clouds or waves. And when we linger there, we find the same comfort we feel when tracing a familiar shape with the eyes, again and again, until the edges blur and the feeling itself becomes more important than the form. The fire inside provides a glow that never startles, only warms, and with every flicker it offers the same reminder that light can be gentle, that warmth can be steady, and that time within such a place moves slower than time outside. Everything is steady tonight. The cabin's roof, seen under the stars, is dark but sure, and when a breeze passes over it, the sound is not sharp but hushed, as if the air itself knows how to move without haste. In this mini-cycle of noticing, the walls, the fire, the roof, and the breeze each tell the same calm story, and that story settles the mind. Now, when we look again, the doorway is there, framed with wood, smoothed by years, and when you imagine stepping through it, you feel the shift between cool night air and warm lamplight, that gentle transition, one atmosphere giving way to another. And each time you picture it, the sense of safety deepens. The cabin floorboards beneath are worn yet strong, giving underfoot just enough to feel alive. And their soft creak is like a lullaby, slow, repetitive, without sharpness, encouraging the body to rest deeper into itself. The firelight moves over these boards and throws shadows that sway lightly, shadows that never frighten, only decorate the quiet. And the more you watch them sway, the more you notice how repetition itself brings calm. Everything is steady tonight. Each mini-cycle, each return to these details is not to find something new, but to rest in what is familiar. As though your mind were walking the same path again and again, each step easier, each turn slower. Imagine the scent of smoke, mingled with resinous pine and soft earth, drifting upward through the chimney, a trail that rises like a thread, and as it rises, it becomes fainter, lighter, until it blends into the night sky, where the stars wait with patience. And each star is another point of stillness, another point of quiet, another rhythm matching your own. The cabin itself stands with no demand, no need for motion, simply a form that has known the passing of many nights. And yet, in this moment, it exists for this night alone, to hold you steady as you picture it, to give you a sense of belonging to the calmness it radiates. Everything is steady tonight. The repetition is the point, because the cabin itself does not change. It does not surprise. It does not alter. It simply remains. And each time you come back to its doorway, to its fire, to its walls, you come back to the same comfort. And the comfort deepens the longer you stay. Its beams have weathered winds and rains and other tellings, but here they know only stillness. They know only the kindness of silence, okay? They know only the ease of evening. Every cycle of noticing returns you to the same soft ground, the same warm glow, the same steady refrain. And each time the body feels heavier, more rooted, more willing to rest. Everything is steady tonight. The cabin is not distant. It is here in your imagining, close as your own breath, close as the rhythm of your chest, close as the warmth you feel beneath your blanket. When you picture it again, The glow of the lamp softens your sight, and the stillness of the woods softens your thoughts. And together they create a space where sleep may drift in, not sudden, not forced, but natural, like the cabin itself, standing into night after night, always present, always calm, always steady. Everything is steady tonight. The cabin that stood against the night holds another layer when we return to it. Not a layer of challenge, but of depth, as though each time we circle around its walls and its light, we see the same calm truths in a new softness. The beams more worn, but more enduring. The air more cool, but more kind. The lamplight less sharp, but more patient. And in this deepening, we begin to see how the story of such a cabin is not just in wood or stone, but in the way it settles into its place, becoming part of the night and part of the quiet around it. The walls carry the scent of cedar. The roof carries the rhythm of breezes. The floor carries the sound of steps. The fire carries the warmth of flame. And the doorway carries the passage from outside to inside. 5 simple parts woven together, each one another way. The cabin offers its steadiness, each one repeating itself in memory until it feels more real than imagined. The overview has passed, and now we remain in these cycles, lingering longer, resting deeper, because the purpose here is not to finish, but to repeat, not to move quickly, but to return, again and again, as though each return is a softer version of the last, a more restful telling of the same gentle idea. Everything is steady tonight. The cabin stands not only in vision, but in rhythm, like the beating of a drum slowed down, like the movement of waves stretching across a wide shore. And each time we say it, we feel its weight more strongly, not heavy in burden, but heavy in peace. Step again to the doorway. Picture the shift between air and glow, cool and warm, star and flame, and notice how even in imagining you lean toward the easier space, the place of warmth, the place of rest. Inside, the chair waits as it has before, the seat wide, the arms smooth, and you can picture settling into it once more. Each time slower, each time with more willingness to stay. Everything is steady tonight. The cycles keep us close to the same images, and that is their strength, because rest is not found in novelty, but in repetition, in the same sights, the same sounds, the same scents, described until the words themselves blur, until the only thing left is the feeling they create. The smoke still rises, the stars still shine, the boards still creak, and each repetition makes them softer, like hearing a lullaby played again until the melody no longer needs to be followed. It simply carries you. Everything is steady tonight. The walls remain, the roof remains, the floor remains, the fire remains, the doorway remains, all constant, all unchanging, all willing to hold you as long as you need, through as many cycles as it takes. Because the point is not to leave, but to stay, and staying is its own kind of peace. The cabin does not push time forward. It allows time to stretch, so that minutes feel wide and hours feel calm. So that each breath can be taken without rush, so that each pause can be longer than the last. Everything is steady tonight. 8. The more we rest within these layers, the more the cabin becomes less a picture and more a rhythm itself, an anchor for the body and mind, repeating, cycling, enduring, steady as your breath, steady as the night, steady as sleep approaching in its own way, unhurried, natural, and kind. Everything is steady tonight. The cabin returns once more, not as a new discovery, but as a familiar shape. Its story told slowly, so the words themselves seem to soften into the rhythm of breathing. And as we circle around it again, we find not difference, but comfort. The kind that grows stronger each time the same details are remembered, as though the act of repetition itself is what creates rest, as though the cabin's endurance is mirrored in the way our thoughts settle when they are guided back to the same steady ground. The lamplight glows as before, golden and calm, spreading across the boards of the floor, touching the edges of the chair, resting on the curve of the doorway, each beam steady, each shadow swaying with a rhythm too gentle to startle, too slow to distract, only enough to remind us that light and dark can move together in harmony. The air is cool again, carrying scents of pine, smoke, and earth, not sharper than before, only fainter, as though the night itself has grown quieter, as though the silence has deepened, and within that silence there is safety. The sense of being held by something larger than yourself, yet never overwhelmed, simply embraced by it. Everything is steady tonight. The cabin's roof remains dark against the sky, and the stars above it are still patient, their glow unchanged, their presence certain. And when you think of them, you think of distance, but not distance that separates, distance that reassures, that makes your own space feel small and safe, a pocket of light within an endless calm. The smoke rises again from the chimney, then wandering, curling upward, and each time you picture it, it feels lighter, less material, more like a thought dissolving, leaving you with nothing to hold, nothing to worry, nothing to keep awake. Everything is steady tonight. The cycles continue, as they must, for their purpose is not to end, but to soothe. Each returns slower, each detail softer, until the very act of listening becomes like rocking in a chair, back and forth, not to go anywhere, only to rest. The chair waits again by the fire, smooth, broad, familiar, and each time you imagine sitting down, you feel your body heavier, your eyes softer, your breath slower, because the chair does not change, and that constancy allows you to yield. Everything is steady tonight. The cabin walls hum with their quiet endurance. Beams, strong, timbers, steady, wood grain curled like the patterns of waves, and each nod and swirl is another reminder of time's patience, of nights endured without strain, of rest given freely. The doorway is there again, cool air on one side, warm light on the other. A passage you do not need to cross, only picture, and each time you do, you feel the ease of choosing rest. Everything is steady tonight, and as the cycles stretch longer, the cabin becomes less a place you are visiting and more a part of your own breathing, a rhythm in sync with the beat of your heart, slow, steady, kind, always present, never rushing, always the same, always ready to hold you, to settle you, to remind you that the night is gentle and that your body can rest within it. Everything is steady tonight. With each repetition, with each return, the story has circled you closer and closer to stillness, so that now the details blur. The lamplight becomes a haze, the chair a shadow, the roof a shape against the sky, and in this blur you feel no need to listen closely, no need to hold on to words, because the meaning has already settled. The rhythm has already carried you, and what remains is only a slow drift toward the softness of sleep. Everything is steady tonight. Good night.